sad you feel, but I'm an actor, so all this stuff ain't real, no. I'm cruising forward beneath the Hollywood signs. I'm gonna need my personal trainer to stay so cut so tight. Every time you call, I'm gonna make you go.
Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. It's the show where we show you what the internet is talking about, and then we tell you what you can do about it. Well, delighted to see y'all here today. Delighted to see the anti-corporatist, Wicked Foxy Dragon. Hello, hello. Delighted to be getting started hot off the presses. We got some Beau of the Fifth Column. Let's just jump directly into it. We got a ton going on. I guess I should tell you about the whole show. Ron DeSantis is in trouble because he effed around. Now he's finding out. GOP is re-examining how they are going to deny the climate crisis. They're re-examining how they're going to just ensure as many people suffer as possible, while corporate overlords are not required in any way to change their habits. I can't stress enough how much I'm going to enjoy a bright and shiny future when I got someone else in front of the microphone and I can fiddle with this stuff without it affecting the show. I truly do love the behind-the-scenes work, and if I could clone another Jake, that would be ideal because he would work for the correct price. What else we got? Oh yes, bunch of viewer suggestions, as a matter of fact, including Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Governator. No, that's more German. The Governator. Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger giving his prediction on what Donald Trump, what his future holds. I think he's correct. I think it is very easy for us who care to exaggerate the power and influence of the baddies. Unfortunately, the situation is, you could argue, worse than we think, because it's not the individuals. It truly is a system designed to prop up criminals. But fortunately, Trump is a incompetent enough criminal that I think we're going to have the ability to get rid of them all. Let's hope. And let's start recording. Wanted to start out today with a video from Beau of the Fifth Column, hot off the presses. He discusses something that I had the raw clip for that I'd rather, frankly, play Beau recapping. In short, the raw clip is this. A representative gets up, talks to a climate expert, and makes, through their questioning, makes the case that, oh, wait, my state, which I'm acknowledging that climate change is real, but my state is going to get warmer, and that will be good for my kind of cold state. That's what they say. It's insanity. It's insanity. It's like saying, well, listen, the ship is sinking, but I'm on the middle deck right now. So if this thing breaks in half and you're saying it's going to sink like this, I'm at, my deck is actually going to be raised up before we all go under and are drowned. That's the argument. I don't want to give this guy airtime anywhere. I don't want his name to be spread around because I haven't yet decided if that is of value or if that is of more harm. But I'll tell you somebody who I don't mind spreading around, Bo, the fifth column. Let's listen to what he had to say about it. I'm going to chime in with where I think we should take this, certainly rhetorically and also at the ballot box.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again.
Howdy,
So
Bo.
today we are going to talk about a study, the climate, the Republican Party's ever-evolving stance when it comes to the climate, and a new development, one that I have to admit I did not see coming, and a senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. We are going to go through that, and then we're going to add some context and turn the rates into real numbers. Okay. So Senator Johnson was talking to an expert, asking them about their study. And it dealt with the impacts of climate on mortality, I want to say out to 2100. Johnson from Wisconsin kind of very much honed in on the idea that because his state is cold, as the climate warms, it's beneficial to his state, and that he could take comfort. These are actual words that were used, comfort, in the study.
Real quick, just want to point out, because I don't believe Bo does, what a way to show that you don't understand farmers. What a way to show that you really don't understand the agricultural community. Farmers, when they grow in a certain region, if they have a crop that they've already paid Monsanto for, or yada yada, kind of sucks when the climate in that region changes. It affects how the crops grow. That's not even to yet address the point Bo's about to make. I'm just saying, starting off, it's a nonsensical way to look at things. It's the kind of thing you would say if you were a representative like Ron Johnson is representing his folks who was just scrambling for an excuse of a talking point to rattle off over something as serious as the global temperatures getting out of control because of what we are doing. United States' second biggest contributor to climate change. Asinine. We don't have time to play games like this anymore.
The expert did attempt to explain to the senator that there are 49 other states in the United States. That did not seem to really have any impact. But we have apparently hit the point where the Republican
A conservative was being selfish? No.
Party has moved from climate change isn't a thing to, okay, it's real, but it's not happening because of people. With there a brief stop, I think, at yes, people have something to do with it. And now, yes, it's happening, but it's good, actually. The expert did explain that it's a global thing. Again, not information that Johnson really seemed to process. He seemed very intent on pointing out that most of the issues, at least up to 2100, would occur in Africa, and that, it was in red, and the blue areas are where things would be okay, and he was in the blue. The expert did everything he could to point out the unequal effects of climate change and it just did not seem to go anywhere. The rates, when they do studies like this, they talk about, extra or excess deaths per 100,000. Sometimes it's super useful to go ahead and convert those into real numbers to get a good picture of the problem. On average, across the globe, assuming we're not just talking about Wisconsin, which apparently exists in a vacuum, the rates, if you were to calculate the excess deaths with a population of 8 billion, global population of 8 billion, you're looking at around 6.8 million extra deaths a year. These are the numbers that are being shrugged off. Now, again, people like to think things happen and they don't impact other things. If you lived in an area that was suddenly hostile to human life, would you stay there? Or would you move to one of the blue areas? 6.8 million people a year. I mean, that sounds like something that might cause mass migration.
I'm just going to let Bo finish this relatively short video, but pay attention to that, because we are going to make a pitch at the end of this. And think of your own ideas, by the way, because we're going to look at what the wicked community has to say as well. But we're going to make a pitch to every major political faction in the U.S. about why you should take climate change seriously. But let's let Bo finish. Remember that those millions of refugees, that'll be relevant.
Which would put a strain on infrastructure, resources, everything. Rest assured, even if you live somewhere that is chilly, climate change is a global game. Everybody has to get involved. It is one of the most, if not the most, pressing issues that humanity has to deal with. It isn't something that respects state lines or international borders. And it doesn't stop just because the model stops in 2100. A politician's position on climate and actually doing something to mitigate should probably be a defining characteristic. It should be something that is heavily considered when you're talking about giving that person your vote. Rest assured, the Republican Party is totally going to embrace the idea that the U.S. is in a blue area for the next 100 years or whatever, and therefore this isn't really something we need to worry about.
For the record, the U.S. is not in an entirely blue area. A lot of the states in the South, as a matter of fact, as we've discussed, are going to get hit. But we're going to talk about that more in a moment.
That's not the way this works, not in the long term. We don't have time for the Republican Party to catch up here.
Yes.
We don't have time for the Democratic Party to acknowledge there's an issue and not take huge steps to mitigate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.
You as well, Bo, of the fifth column. All right. So, a couple of corrections, not for Bo, but just for that exchange that happened. The U.S. is absolutely going to get hit more and more. It's already being hit by climate change. A lot of the extraordinary weather events that we're enduring are a direct result of climate change. It's going to keep happening. It's going to get worse. We looked at the states that it's going to happen to. Florida. Surprise, surprise. Arizona. All kinds of places, funny enough, that are very, very red. They're going to get hammered by this. Let's make a pitch to every major faction in the GOP. Excuse me, not the GOP. Every major faction in America, starting with the GOP. I'm talking to the big business, really peasant-minded Republicans. The ones that view business leaders as royalty and believe it is our job to grovel to them. You fools. It's going to be terrible for business. It's going to be terrible for agriculture. It's going to be truly destructive when the whole world is dealing with climate change. Let's make a pitch to the racist MAGA folks that will say they're not racist, but then watch whoever Tucker Carlson's replacement is rattling off great replacement theory and other nonsense. The folks that were fine with immigrants from Norway, but had a problem with immigrants from Africa. If people are fleeing Africa, they have to go somewhere. You don't like border crises? Well, gosh, you might take an interest in the climate. Let's make a pitch to progressives. Nothing. You already know. Vote in primaries. You know why this is bad? You've looked at the numbers. You don't need more pitching. Make a pitch to Democrats who drag their feet. You need to show the world, you need to show the next generation as well, by the way, that you are serious. You need to show that you are different from the Republican Party. Right now, all that talk about a uniparty is because of things like this. So if you're a centrist Democrat who goes, I care about climate change, I'm going to vote for somebody who says, really, really important things. I mean, I don't really pay attention to how they vote, but if they say that this is important, I won't listen for any policy they pitch about it. You need to take this seriously. This needs to be something you ask your representatives specifically about. This wishy-washy acknowledging that it's a problem but doing nothing about it, that is why, more so than cultural reasons, that is why you lose votes to Republicans, because they don't take you seriously, because why would anyone, centrist Democrat, take you seriously? You're not a serious person. Your candidates are not serious. So there's a pitch to the individual groups. Here's a pitch to the whole. Economically, this is going to hammer us. The U.S. is in a Goldilocks situation with where we wound up. Why is the U.S. so dominant across the world? Well, because we have just a ludicrous amount of resources, and they are set up in such a way that we really have everything we need right chow. Why was the U.S. able to churn out so many, literally, more planes than pilots in World War II? Because we had the stuff to make them. We had the steel, we had the canvas, we had everything needed to assemble them. We had the factories. We are set up perfectly to be the rich kids of the world, but that will go away if the world is tossed into chaos. It's being dipped into chaos right now, and it's hanging on by a thread. So all of us should care about this. See what the wicked community has to say about this. Have a look. Anti-corporatist says Ron Johnson doesn't give an F about what happens by 2050. He won't still be around. Correct. Truly, Republican politicians don't care about anybody but themselves. Patrick Thibodeau says, please don't play the clip of Madge blathering about what governments did about climate change during the Ice Age. I've already seen it twice, and I can't afford to lose any more IQ points today. Well, fair enough. Ugh, what a knucklehead, I swear. She's, let's hope she's out soon. I assume that Madge is a nickname for Marjorie. Interesting. The anti-corporatist says someone in the TYT chat earlier shared a saying from amongst the Wall Street elite. Oh boy, Yabwani, you won't be here and neither will I. Who gives an F about climate change as long as we get ours? Yeah, that's exactly correct. Hello, the anti-corporatist. Good to see you, brother. Truly, with issues like this, you just don't accept the framing from either the villains who have caused this problem, or the framing from the people who have failed to stop those villains. You'll find, wait a minute, regular folks actually have a better sense of this. Let's take a hypothetical situation. Imagine we had thrown Republicans out on their ass 20 years ago, and we had not allowed them to eliminate tax breaks for businesses that were focused on green energy. Imagine that we had set up infrastructure in this company to charge electric vehicles. Takes about 20 minutes for a full charge for some of these things. Imagine if everybody, if the common thing was just to have an electric vehicle. Think about how much more advanced we'd be. First of all, a lot of Americans likely wouldn't be dead from some of the events caused by our tailpipes. When that gas crunch hit a couple years back because Russia decided it wanted to invade Ukraine, when that happened, we wouldn't have felt it. We would have had electric cars. We are already suffering from the lack of progress. And if you're a progressive, I would recommend you talk with other voters about what we could have. Point to the things that that currently aren't here that would be, except for Republicans and weak Democrats. Point to the things that we could have. Easiest way to do it right now, unfortunately, because we're getting passed by other countries, is healthcare. Look at all the countries that don't have these problems. Taxes. Do you hate filling out forms? There are countries where you don't have to do it at all. It's just taken care of for you. And on and on and on and on and on. Point to those things we don't have and demand them. All right. This was a suggestion by a member of the Wicked community, and I would very much like to show it. It is a woman discussing how the Republican Party's body-controlling laws have affected her. Let's talk about this. Well, thank you for the viewer suggestion. I believe this is Wicked Foxy Dragon that suggested this. A woman recently, a Texas woman, recently testified about how she's been harmed by the Republican laws that control the bodies of Americans. Republicans believe so little in freedom that they will take away an American's right to control their own body. They have. They already have. They have been allowed to take control of the Supreme Court illegally, hypocritically, and they have been allowed to pass obscene laws that prevent Americans, I cannot stress this enough, from controlling their own bodies. Let's listen to this testimony. and the trauma that goes with it.
These women are like me and like you, right? They are working folks, they are mothers, they are folks who are just trying to live their lives, make their best decisions, and really think about how they want to build and create their own futures.
The last thing before we go tonight, what about them? Last night, activist Monica Simpson laid out exactly who is hurt by states enacting extreme abortion bans. She was clear, it could be anyone. Today, we heard from one woman who has been impacted, Amanda Zarowski. She is one of the 5 women suing the state of Texas over their 6-week abortion ban. She was denied an abortion despite dangerous pregnancy complications she was experiencing. And she explained to her senators exactly how the law affected her at a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing earlier today. Please watch this.
We've heard a lot today about the mental trauma and the negative, harmful effects on a person's psychological well-being after they have an abortion, supposedly. And I'm curious why that's not relevant for me as well, because I wasn't permitted to have an abortion, and the trauma and the PTSD and the depression that I have dealt with in the 8 months since this happened to me is paralyzing. On top of that, I'm still struggling to have children, and I wanted to address my senators, Cruz and Cornyn, who neither of whom regrettably are in the room right now, but I would like for them to know that what happened to me, I think most people in this room would agree, was horrific. But it's a direct result of the policies that they support. I nearly died on their watch. And furthermore, as a result of what happened to me, I may have been robbed of the opportunity to have children in the future. And it's because of the policies that they support. What happened to me was horrible, but I am one of many. And quite frankly, I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I have a husband that could take me to the hospital. I don't have other children that I had to worry about finding health care for. I have a job that was understanding that allowed me to grieve for 3 days as I waited to almost die. What about all of the women that don't have those same opportunities?
Pause for a moment. This woman, she says she's grateful for having a job. Nope, not that. There we go. For having a job that allowed her to grieve. 3 days she got. You had a pregnancy that went bad. Had to be terminated. Apparently wasn't. It's okay. Take some time to grieve. Take a long weekend to get over the loss of a child. She's grateful for that. Because that's the absolute best you can hope for in the United States of America. I'm so sorry that that's the best we could do as a country for this person. That's the best we could do.
Don't have access to health care, that don't have health insurance, that don't have a partner. What about them?
Amanda Zarowski's heartbreaking plea takes us off the air tonight. Please share that clip with someone you know.
Yeah, the link to that clip, it's in the description. She's right, Stephanie Rule. Share it. I'll keep this short. You can share it too. And tell your representative, for God's sake, tell them that you want them to support an American's right to control their own body. It is insane that we are having this discussion at all. It's embarrassing. And Republicans, we need to just be done with them forever. Forever. This party needs to be tossed out of the United States. If you're feeling particularly squirrely, like your old pal Jake is, tell your representative you would like them to sign a bill similar to Ngoglia's bill in Florida. Ngoglia tried to ban the Democratic Party in Florida. Do the same in your state, but try to get rid of the Republicans. They are a bunch of traitors. Toe to tip, they are no good. At best, they are complicit in the attempted overthrow of democracy in the United States and the removal of Americans' rights to literally have control over their bodies, their own bodies. They get children murdered in school in mass shootings. They do everything they can to put guns in the hands of crazies. Republicans got to go. They have got to go. Make it happen in 2024. At a minimum, you want to know what you can do. Vote as far left as you can in the primaries, link in the description. Get active. Join pro-democracy groups, which will be any group that is in opposition to the Republican Party. The Republican Party needs to end in America. Party's over. See what the wicked community has to say. That poor woman, says Wireless Mike. Yeah. It's a bad situation. Wicked Foxy Dragon says that lady could have died because Texas won't give an abortion to women even when medically necessary to save the mother's life. Yeah. The Republican Party is a ghoulish criminal organization. And let me be clear. Ghoulish, that's a term of art. Criminal, that's not. They are genuinely a criminal organization. To the point where the party itself is using mob tactics to hire lawyers to control people that might testify against them. They are a criminal organization. We should boot them out. We should try to pass laws to boot them out. We need them gone. I've spent my whole life trying to treat them like a serious party and watching other Americans try to address them as though they're a serious player in politics. But they're not. They don't function like that. They're not concerned with truth. In my life, they haven't been. Not ever. At least not when I was able to speak English and understand it. Since the early 90s, since the days of Newt Gingrich, they have been nothing but a duplicitous clown show. The mask has slipped more and more. The rhetoric has gotten more and more insane. And if we treat them like they are a serious party, then people will view them that way. People who don't really follow politics will think, well, this must be a reasonable thing to say that this psychopath is saying. No more. It's got to end. I want to see Republicans in handcuffs for having participated in things we used to just call, regular Republican stuff. Remember the Brooks Brothers riot? That kind of behavior needs to be treated now like it would be treated if anybody else engaged in it. If anybody else behaved like a Republican without the R next to their name, they'd wind up in prison. Should treat them like they deserve. They're a bunch of criminals, and they need to go to the gulag. But don't worry, folks, because we have victories to celebrate as well. Who else wants to see Ron DeSantis just squirming as Disney whips him over and over? I could use a palate cleanser, personally. So we're going to get to that. Let me know if you would prefer Schwarzenegger next. Schwarzenegger ripping Trump or Disney ripping DeSantis. You let me know which you'd prefer. Let me read a couple of comments here. I pay, says Leon Chevalier, who is in a sane country, I pay an extra 7% tax, and no matter how sick you get, no matter how sick you get, your neighbor, will never go bankrupt for being sick. I mean, I can't fathom living in such a wonderful place. America is not that, but it's an aspiration. Thank you, Leon. We are going to try to make our country more like yours in that way. The anti-corporatist says, yeah, Jake, they at least did a better job of pretending to be serious before that. That's true, but I think their goals were always the same. The anti-corporatist says, how is Ron DeSantis a palate cleanser? Schwarzenegger interview was based, as the kids say. Ron DeSantis is a palate cleanser because of how bad he took a whooping. Franny P says, Arnold. Leon Chevalier says Arnold as well. All right, that's 3 votes for Arnold. There it is. Let's cleanse that palate. If we got time, we'll make fun of DeSantis too. But Arnold first, for sure. All right, let me set up the recording. We're going to do this thing proper. There's an actor from California. He's actually an immigrant. If you listen closely, you can tell. His name's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and although he is a Republican and the former Republican governor of California, he is also a very, very anti-Trump. You see, he's an actual, literal strong man, and he's not impressed by Trump, not at all. And he had some rather telling predictions about who Donald Trump is and how he behaves. And given that Arnold is from Austria, I think you know where this is going. And it's got to go there because it's the truth. Let's listen to what the man had to say.
Tonight, a special treat. Former California governor and action star Arnold Schwarzenegger sat down with CNN's Dana Bash to talk about how he's combating rising anti-Semitism and hate crimes in America. Dana, I'm envious. What a privilege you just had.
Just one thing. I do one day want to see somebody go the opposite way. How effing funny would it be if somebody was first the governor of a state and then an action star? I would love to see like a 65-year-old like, okay, Jesus, God. How many more takes? 7? You want to do 7 more takes for safety? Can we get the stunt double just to do the acting as well? Can I get like a producer credit instead? I would love to.
I've been in his company before, and he is really interesting.
No question about it, and especially on this topic. He invited me here to Los Angeles, to USC. He has the Schwarzenegger Institute set up there to focus on.
Wait a minute. I just realized this is a great opportunity for me to do the pitch. Hey, y'all, there's a function in chat that allows you to send a super chat, and that's where you give me money. I sure would like it. Here's why. I got rent to pay in a couple of days. And a little fun fact, your old pal Jake has a backup plan for this here channel, which is called being a member of Real Style, which is a Midwestern acting organization. It's where you get, you know, when you have like a local car commercial, there's got to be somebody who you pay money to walk into the dealership and go, I might buy this car or maybe this car. Wait a minute, Ron Feldman Chevrolet, those are the great cars. Yeah. I'm going to hold you guys emotionally hostage with a stream coming up where I beg for rent money and tell you actual real, if you guys like this idea, actual real stories from my career as a Midwestern actor. Look at this. Look at this ridiculous mustache. Look at all that's going on here. I assure you, as insane as you think it's been, you're correct. It's been an absolute horror show. I'm a terrible actor. I promise you, there are agents out there that have white hairs because your old pal Jake was an actor for them. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants me to take an acting gig this weekend, especially me. But I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to. So if you want to prevent that nightmare for just tons of people, if you don't want to hear stories from my days as an actor, then super chat, please. All right, let's watch Arnold Schwarzenegger rip Trump a new one.
Public policy, and broadly about bringing people together. His focus lately has been about combating hate. He called this forum today a terminating hate. I'm sure you get that. And the whole idea was to bring people together like a former skinhead, which he did, and a rabbi was there to have a conversation across lines among people that don't normally have these conversations. And his personal connection to this was fascinating.
You have worn so many hats in your lifetime, a bodybuilder, a movie star, governor of California. You're using this chapter of your life to speak out against hate, against anti-Semitism in particular. Why?
Well, it's not this particular. It's like anything that I see that really bothers me, I get involved with it. Mm-hmm. If it is the fight against fossil fuels and to create a clean environment, if it is motivating people to get up and to go and become successful, or if it is prejudice and hatred that I've seen over the years rise. So it became kind of alarming to me in the sense of, Arnold, you don't have to just sit there and watch this whole thing. I think that you can get involved and use your platform to kind of speak out about that and how wrong it is because of my history. I come from a country that was part of the Second World War. Austria, Hitler himself was part Austrian. And it's all because we let this grow, this anti-Semitism and this hatred during that time. And so I just said to myself, well, I come from a place where this has been done once before. And I don't want that to happen again.
Just to be clear, that's the former Republican governor of California comparing the MAGA movement to the Nazi movement. That's someone with direct experience. That's someone whose dad was a Nazi. Not hyperbole. It's fact. Schwarzenegger was Mr. Universe in the 60s. Do the math. Schwarzenegger's dad was a fan of a man with half the mustache I have. Let's just say that. For a time. But listen to what happened to him. And listen to what is going to happen to people that don't get off the MAGA train in time.
You stood up at this forum and you said,
and I was born with a father that was a Nazi. Think about that.
The air went out of the room. I've heard you talk about your father, but not like that. What made you say it that way?
Well, first of all, you have to understand when I improvise a speech, I don't think about how I say something or what I say.
You used the story of your father to try to reach people who are getting sucked in.
I didn't realize how literal that mustache comment would be.
To groups that propagate hate. Mm-hmm. Talk about making that connection.
My father was, and so many other millions of men, was sucked into a hate system through lies and deceits. And so we have seen where that leads. I said, I've seen it firsthand, how broken this man were, the kind of atrocities that happened, how many millions of people had to die, and then they ended up losers. You know, the Confederacy, losers. I say, all of this just doesn't work.
Boom.
I mean, let's just go and get along. And love is more powerful than hate.
But in this video that you did last month,
I want to talk to you today about the rising hate and anti-Semitism we've seen all over the world.
which was incredibly powerful and has been seen how many times now?
Well, apparently,
Millions.
almost 100 million people saw it, and there's billions of impressions, so it's really fantastic.
You drew this parallel between participating in Nazi hate during World War II and hateful ideology that is growing in the U.S. now. Is that the path America is on right now?
I don't know if it's the path that we're on, but I know there's the danger that we go in that direction.
You put out another video after January 6th, 2021, and you compared the storming of the Capitol to Kristallnacht in Germany and in Austria in 1938, when Nazis burned synagogues, Jewish businesses and homes. About 30,000 Jewish men were taken. That was the beginning of it.
Let me just be clear about that. Why was Kristallnacht so important? Why are they bringing that up? Because that set the new cultural tone for that place in that time. It said, this is what we think of Jews. This is what enough of us think of Jews. And the response to Kristallnacht was not mass trials of the people that did this. It's good. It's good that we're tossing the January 6ers who actually had their hands on throats. It's good that we're tossing them in prison. We need the organizers in prison. We're going to talk about that, by the way. Trump is responsible for January 6th. Donald Trump caused January 6th. We're going to see him answer for that very soon, it would appear. But look up there and understand that is how close we are. And don't let that freak you out, by the way. I don't need to sell you guys on how bad MAGA is. You already know. Why am I showing you this now then? Because CNN, one of the most right-leaning, still sane organizations, is making that clear. Remember I said CNN is going to be making a pitch for GOP voters, not MAGA folks. This sort of thing is finally being confronted in, how do I put this? Amongst those of us who are the safest, fattest, and laziest. Not fat as in physical, I mean well-fed. Those of us who don't make budgetary decisions with whether or not they're going to go out to dinner, staying on that note. Those of us who aren't afraid that a car problem will destroy their budget for a month. Now they are being confronted with this. And they're being told so by a person that, by and large, that class of people, the moderately wealthy, let's say, respects. They're being confronted with, in other words, the same seriousness that we already understood was going on. Good. This is an incredibly healthy sign. And I also believe this is those that follow this in the media, not with some secret plan, but with a very public strategy. Those who follow this, preparing their audience for what they are about to see. They are about to see very serious charges announced and pursued. And they are telling their audience why you are going to see that. Understand the context of this and let it give you hope. It also tells me that, honest to God, Jack Smith might be leveling charges sooner than I thought.
Can you did you mean by that? I wanted to ask you that. What did you see on January 6th that reminded you of the beginning of years of hatred and killing in Germany and Austria?
Well, it's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the insurrection, that this is very dangerous. It's a wake-up call to let people know that you have to take this seriously, not just like, oh, let's get those right-wingers, let's put them to jail and all of this stuff. No, this is much more than that. You know, what creates something like that? And sadly, I have to say that no one really has covered it well, the insurrection, because they only said, okay, they were wrong and they have to go to jail and we have to punish them and all this stuff. But no one really has gotten into why was it that way? What powers do people have that are really upset and angry at government?
Well, part of it was that they were told that the election of 2020 was stolen.
No, but remember that it's always kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Absolutely.
So it's not, that alone would not drive anyone to Washington. I think there was just such an unbelievable dissatisfaction. There's so much anger.
You said history shouldn't repeat itself. Donald Trump is now the front runner to be the nominee of your.
I was nearly bummed out during this section. But oh my gosh, Schwarzenegger, just listen.
Party of the Republican Party. Given everything you said, does that concern you?
Absolutely not, because being a front runner of one party and letting them dig this hole deeper and deeper is going to make it easy for the Democrats in the end to win. It's sad to see that they couldn't come up with a new talent, with a new face that is a reasonable, smart, intelligent person that can lead this country in a Republican way.
You think there's no way he would win again?
No.
What if he did?
What is if it is a hypothetical question? But I can guarantee you that he's going to go maybe get the Republican nomination. Then when it comes down to the actual election, there's too many people now that have seen what he did as president, that I think when it comes to the majority on election day, I think they will see the difference between one or the other. And believe me, I'm not the first one to say, hey, this is really great to have Biden back as president. No, but there's just no better option there, the way it looks right now.
Connecting this back to January 6th, you say the country hasn't really learned from it. How do you, I mean, you're a leader, you were governor.
Well, that's what I wanted to go out on, but actually I think I do want to hear his response here.
Of a very big state. How do you reach those people when they are listening still to lies about the 2020 election and a leader who is perpetuating that still?
Well, they will be buying into it because they want to buy in. Even though when they hear the evidence and when they see, like, for instance, Fox with Tucker Carlson and all this being fired by spreading the wrong news, and Fox going to court because they have lied intentionally, not mistakenly, intentionally, over and over again about this. I mean, it's like, people hear that, but it doesn't mean anything because they just want to believe the election was stolen because Trump is their man.
But as that relates to the hate that you're trying to stop and the kind of the temperature that you're trying to help bring down in this country, how do you do that?
Well, it's not just that. Prejudice and hate goes into so many different directions. It's not about, do you believe that Trump's election was stolen or not? It has nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with just in general, all over the world, we have this problem now, that there's this hate and there's this prejudice. And we're talking about men against women, women against men, black against white, white against black, Americans against immigrants, immigrants against Americans. It's just like this, it's just, he's from over there and he's a Muslim and he's a Jew and he's black and he's this. I just think that this we have to just diffuse that.
Really well put by Schwarzenegger. The thing I really wanted to highlight there is his assessment of Trump. Remember. The last time the public had an opportunity to decide if they wanted Donald Trump to be the president of the United States, he lost. Following that, he tried a coup. Since then, we have seen what Republican-controlled states do. There is no way in hell that the American people are going to put up with Donald Trump being president again. They're just not. Not to say it's not dangerous that he's running right now. It is. In fact, the precedent it's establishing, horrible. We're going to have to deal with this. Like, it's created a problem that we will have to legislate about in the near future. But Donald Trump being president again, I just don't see it. Again, not to say it doesn't need to be dealt with. It absolutely needs to be dealt with. But regular folks, people that have chosen to try to put their heads in the sand, really can't anymore. And when you have Arnold Schwarzenegger on CNN comparing January 6th, again, he put that video out a while back, but nonetheless, comparing January 6th to Kristallnacht. And this man has personal experience. It's powerful. And it tells you the kind of alliance that is going to be built against the extremists in the United States, which is to say, every single person who can vote in the United States versus the extremists. Let's make sure that happens. What can you do? Tell everybody you know about the danger. You're already doing it for the most part. And make sure you're voting in primaries. A robust primary will make the general easier. Go as left as you can. We're going to win. Let's just hope we win so thoroughly that it becomes easy to deal with the problems that have been created by Republicans instead of a small victory, which will make it hard. But we will win. Let's see what y'all said. All right. Aunt Button says, this is another classic. Good call. Peach Time Peach says, screw your freedoms, Arnold. I don't follow that one. I assume it has to do with some nonsense. Leon Chevalier says, I agree with Jake. Trump, the world can't deal with him that, yeah. Mars Falcon says, freedom was Arnold's maid's name. He apologized for that and already lost his wife over it. Leave the man be, Peach Time. Yeah, I mean, yeah, come on. Curious Cat, I don't see him being elected either. We need some fresh candidates, though. Agreed. The Anti-Corporate says, check it out, Jake. Princess Peach is here. Peach, good to meet you. I've been a fan of your work for some time. All right, here's my attempt to weasel my way out of. And let me be clear, I'll be fine. There is a job sitting for your old pal Jake in my inbox. It's from an organization called Real Style. Hell, let's record this just so I can really milk it. There's a job sitting in my inbox right now, my email inbox, my personal email. It's because I am as a side hustle. I do what a lot of people do in the Midwest. I am an actor. Now you might be wondering, wait a minute, does that mean I can see Jake in the movies? Actually, you can. I'm in such films as Warpath, filmed by the brother of the guy that did the Spider-Man movies, Sam Raimi. I play a never a Confederate. I play a Union soldier who got his ass whipped. I am in car commercials. I'm in Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, in a deleted scene, playing ping pong in the background. And I'm in a GM commercial, standing next to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for half a second. I'm now going to attempt to guilt trip folks into giving me money, even though I could accept that job from Real Style. And here's why. That job will pay enough to cover the rent and keep me in soda for a couple of weeks. But I really, truly, passionately despise acting. Not actually being in front of a camera or all that, but it's like it's a job. It's a job. You got to show up at a certain time. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. If you're from the military, you'll be familiar. It's like that, but less scary. On account of there's less guns, but not no guns. Let me tell you about that GM commercial to give you a sense of what I'm trying to spare the world by begging you for money. Once upon a time, Real Style called me up and said, we need a whole lot of folks that are pretty nondescript looking. That's you. How'd you like to come do this thing? I said, okay. They said, you'll be with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I said, neat. On set, similar to how it would work in like a chicken farm. They just grabbed a bunch of us and said, you lot over there, come here. We might need somebody to speak during this. We've got a couple of like lines that we realized we didn't cast for, and The Rock is here just today because he's The Rock, and it would be expensive to bring someone in after recasting and all this. So we're just looking for somebody who can say a line. And by the way, if you say a line, this pays triple. Just the way it works. Okay, neat. So all of us are standing there. Like, well, if you need one person, why are all of us here? Because we might go with somebody else on the fly. So they arranged us around The Rock. And we're standing there, and we need to get one shot. Just one shot. And a camera, which is synced up to a camera over in Hollywood, California, to move exactly the same way. Is going to pull away from The Rock in this GM commercial and show all of these local actors standing around wearing GM uniforms. We're standing in for actual GM employees. And somebody's going to say something. I don't even remember what the line is on the way out. Well, I am cheap, and I was there to make money. So since I'm standing next to The Rock, I kept trying to say something so that they'd get me on camera, give me a little extra money. Try to go like, yeah, or whatever. Or, because of the way the shot worked, to have The Rock engaged with conversation so they can't help but keep me and my line in. Well, poor Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who, by the way, I can tell you, is not only a gigantic human being, truly, I felt like I could sit on his knee. Huge guy. He's also a really nice guy. He's genuinely, like, obviously he was there to work. He was there on a very different mindset than the rest of us. The rest of us were all like, oh, look at that. Oh, a big Hollywood guy. Except he's positioned next to this ridiculous Lithuanian. And I'm just telling him jokes. And he's chuckling because it's the polite thing to do. You know? He's like, yeah. But I keep going. And he's getting clearly more and more annoyed. But I'm not doing it to charm The Rock. I'm doing it because I'm hoping I get caught on camera saying something so I can, quite in a shady manner, force the company to give me a couple more bucks. Wet my beak a little. Somewhere out there is footage of like 30 takes. Genuinely feel bad revealing this. Like 30 takes of an actor whose 5 minutes of their time is worth more than I have ever made in my most profitable year as a working man. Increasingly getting more and more furious, trying, you could just see, to not reach out with his tree trunk arm and throttle this ridiculous man next to him. As just silly ass jokes are being rattled off. That could be in the near future again if I can't make rent money by the end of the month. So please, for the sake of The Rock, for the sake of whoever the hell, if you've got the money, give me a little scratch. And if you don't, that's fine. Please share this stream so that I can beg other people for money. So that I don't wind up annoying Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or any of the other well-meaning professional individuals who had the misfortune to be cast with your old pal Jake. Oh. Leon Chevalier says, has Jake gone rogue? I mean, kind of always was. The Rock was doing a commercial for GM, says the anti-corporatist. Yeah, he did. I think, actually, funny enough, I think for one of their electric vehicles. Yeah. Peach says, I won't be sending any money. That's understandable. Wendy House has sent a picture of money. And hey, you know what? I'll take it. That's a start. We're going to probably wrap this one up, but I might release a couple other clips throughout the day, or rather throughout the night. There's some other things I want to check out. If you want to see your old pal Jake in other places around the internet, I am going to be joining the folks at the True North Eager Beaver podcast tomorrow on their morning stream. So if you want to check out a morning show, if you want ridiculous stories like that and hot takes on politics, check them out. That's the True North Eager Beaver podcast. They've been kind enough to invite me on tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Wolfing around with those fellas is always fun. Thank you for joining me tonight. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake.